Ata, you have a fan on here that says that I need to take one of their workshops because I'm spewing lies. And so one thing that I like to do here is have honest conversations, because I would love to know the platform that anybody has where everybody gets it right, right? Because that's what we do. I don't like what you're saying. You are not it. You are spewing lies. I'm not saying anything that is not my perspective, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not a sociologist, and I'm not a historian. What I am is the person who's living in my skin, trying to have honest conversations to move us forward. So I want to ask you if you think that I said something that was problematic, because I'm very confrontational and I like to deal with issues as they come, because I come with the intention of solution and trying to do things that are going to better our community. But I am so tired of people always telling everybody else, you got it wrong, but are never contributing to the solution. And I work really hard to do that off of the internet. So do you feel that I offended you or said something that was offensive to you?
To me, no. And I know where you're coming from. I think where Dash is coming from is more so the idea you had said, for example, you have said to me, like, you hear the Latinidad in my accent. So then what does that mean? Like, essentially that's going to the rhetoric that, Latinidad sounds like this, where it's like, claro, okay, Haitians are Latinos.
Absolutely, they
are rarely ever included in the conversation of Latinidad. So, like, just saying things like that, per se, it would then spew out that stereotype that, tú sabes, Latinidad suena así, it sounds like that. I also think that, where Dash is coming from in regards to, we have to be careful with, contextualizing. Because what Melinna, I feel like she touched on beautifully, is just more so when we're having these conversations, when we're trying to figure out, okay, mira, we're all oppressed here in all different ways. I think that's something that we can all agree with across the board. But claro, and I can't stress it enough, Black people, Black Latinos have a double-edged sword. So at all times, Black Latinos, visibly Black Latinos, negros, have to be at the forefront of what it is that is being constructed for the solution. So that, because if Black Latinos get a little bit, that means everyone else gets a lot. And that's essentially where Dash is coming from.
So my question, and I respect what you're saying, because, and I'm not trying to cut you off to be rude. I'm trying to absorb what you're saying, because for me, if you just listen to people, but you don't. When I say Latinidad, first of all, when I talk about Haitians, I always include them when I talk about Latinidad. I've always done that before it became cool to do it, because I grew up in Miami in a community that was Haitian, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, Panamanian, and the Haitians have always been Afro-Latinos. My question is, can we have a conversation about other Latinos as well, with, at the same time, holding the truth and the understanding that Black Latinos have it worse, but can we still have the conversation? Because all of the conversations that we have, when we start talking about, when I'm talking about people who are not white and not visibly Black, who I am, honoring, and the people that are in those cages that we're talking about, is it possible that we have the intersectional conversations and still be able to acknowledge and hold the space for Latinos who are also being mistreated, who are not Black, and can be anti-Black? Because they are. That's a problem with our community.
I think that, realistically speaking, I hear you in that wanting to have space for others. And it's not more so that, Dash in this instance is saying that, somos lo único with problems, right? But more so that if we don't, at the very least, understand that, what it is that Black Latinos are going through in its entirety, then essentially any sort of communication of solution is therefore null and void. And I say Black Latinos, and I am including Afro-Indigenous Latinos as well, just because of the levels of which we are discarded in society, whether that's socially, whether that's financially, like economically, etc. We are at the bottom of the barrel, and if it's not if that is not at the forefront of the perspective, then essentially it's like, well, what is being discussed? If we are not at the very intersection, at the forefront of the conversation.
Okay, so that's fair. That and when when I say that, when I said that because of your accent, so I understand what you're saying about how that is a function of white supremacy that is in our language now, right? Because people say to me all the time, "What are you?" And in California specifically, they say, "Are you half black or half white?" No, because you sound like a Latin person, right? They'll say that to me. So when I said that, I just learned something today, right? So that's why I want to have these conversations, because I think some people, and I'm not talking about Dash because I don't know Dash, but I just think that some of these people are just interested in setting the fire and leaving the room. I think that
anger is justified. Eso es lo que estoy diciendo.
No, I get it. I understand that.
And I know you have buena intención, which is why I didn't say nothing, because I'm like, I know I know where you're coming from. I know who you are, but like more so in regards to, this conversation, because I feel bad, Julissa's not chiming in. And honestly go on and on. Essentially, Black Latinos are mad, and we have to understand, and when I say we, I mean all Latinos have to understand, it is justified. The anger is justified. When you are erased, when, people are making a commodity and a trend out of your identity, and you can't even participate, you know what I'm saying? You can't even participate. You can't even reap the benefits of your identity that's being marketed now. No sé cuánta Afro-Latinos are out here with businesses and marketing themselves like this, because yo soy negra and all this and that, but they're not using negra, they're saying Afro-Latina. You know what I'm saying? They won't ever say que son negra porque sabe que no son, they know that they're not, but they're still going to go ahead and reap the benefits of Afro-Latinidad without even centering actual Black people. So the anger is justified.
Absolutely.
That's essentially where everyone and anyone who, it's not about being explosive. Claro, some people, my friends tell me all the time, Gata, you're not diplomatic, and it's like, I guess that's how I am, that's how I roll, whatever. Because I like you, Aida, I love to have conversation and really identify, why do people think like that? That's my MO. But more so, and just so I can conclude, the anger is justified. There's multiple forces at work that are silencing negros, and that's essentially the reason why a lot of people come off that way. But Dash, for example, she has the workshop. Right. She has been doing the work for some time. A lot of these sociocritics have been doing the work for some time. Right. And essentially she is providing a resource, where people can see where it is that she's coming from. If people don't like the way she speaks, then it's otra cosa, because essentially the anger, this is where that's coming from.
Share it with us, or share it with me so I can share it with my followers, because I don't know Dash, and I don't care if Dash likes me or not. I don't give a shit about none of these people. I have to do what I have to do to be the best that I can be. But the reason why I ask is because I do want to learn, right? Because my daughter and my son son negros, right? So I have to be mindful, because at home, not just on the internet, right? So for me, it's about honoring my children. But and I'm going to go to Julissa now, but what I will say this, I was having a conversation with a Black American person that belongs to a group that thinks that you don't belong, right? That they'll say, yeah, these Black Latinos, they're not American descendants of slaves, and I don't know why they're trying to appropriate our shit. So what I'm saying is, in the middle of this fight where it has so many layers, what is it that we can do to provide forward motion for ourselves as people? Because we have become so we are now awake, and we know a lot of the things that white supremacy has done to hold us all down, that now we can't. The division is also almost harmful to us, because now it's easier for them to keep us back and hold us down. And so and it's always been. I mean, it's always been. So how do we have these conversations? And for me, it's important to be honorable with you, not just because you are negra, but because you're a human being and someone that I care about as a human being, right? So that's why I want to make sure that I'm not being, and I'm not going to talk about this all day. I had
I feel like in short, I hear you and I hear your question. I feel like in short, what a solution, Aida, you have to understand that you care, but many don't. ¿Tú me entiendes? That's the problem. Right. You're hearing us. You're giving me space. You're allowing Dash to be mad. You know what I'm saying? Like you're allowing people to have their emotions. You are, but many people are not, and that is the issue. So the first step to get everyone on the same page, lo que es, lo que no es, so we can then move forward and give the space to the appropriate people. Because hasta eso, there's gatekeeping, there's silencing, there's gaslighting, etc. ¿Tú me entiendes? So essentially, in short, that's eso lo que es.
No, that's why I put the comment up, because I was like, it is important for people to express their rage, and silencing people's rage is oppression to me. And so I know that some people I live in the reality that people who are darker than me have a tougher life and have been treated worse, and that dark-skinned people are being silenced. I mean, that's why I had the show with Sulma here about hair, that I just watch and let it happen. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not something that I can relate to, but I want to be a proper ally and say, this is a conversation that we need to have, because this is some bullshit. But at the same time, we all need space to grow and learn. And those of us who are not participating in white supremacy on the level of, I don't have power, right? So for me, it's just about, how do I become a better person in this reality, as opposed to getting attacked by people who attack my character, when outside of this, I work hard in the economic space to raise money to make the world better for our people. I'm not just popping off on Twitter and doing think pieces and talking shit. I'm actually risking my life. I white supremacists breaking into my internet, fucking threatening my life, doxing me, calling me the N-word, because to them, they don't see the difference, right? They see us all as trash. So it's very disheartening when people from your own community are also doing that to you, when you're just trying your best, right, to learn. Because I've been indoctrinated just like everybody else. I'm not fully realized. So that's why I wanted to say, I had a transgender show. One of the transgender people said to me, one of your jokes is offensive because of this. I apologize, because I didn't know. I didn't see it that way, but I learned. That person, Ashley Marie Preston, could have very well dismissed me and said, you're garbage because you said this joke.
And we're willing to learn. Es el punto. Because there's people who are like, well, sorry. ¿Tú me entiendes? And that's
why I said it, because on behalf of myself, I really want to learn. So that's why it's important for me that I'm not intentionally damaging and hurting people, because for me, that matters specifically when you're talking about my people, right? And that's important to me.